I'm Indian. That love for the knife because I have love for the precision of the cutting. In my life, I've never given up on anything.
Born to Indian parents, he began his journey in retail long before his university exam. But destiny, as sharp as a well-owned edge, led him to Japan, where a single meeting in a small Tokyo izakaya changed everything. Under the mentorship of a blacksmith, he spent years learning the sacred philosophy behind the blade, a craft rooted in centuries of samurai tradition. In 1997, he founded the Japanese Knife Company, bringing those ancient secrets to Western kitchens and revolutionizing how chefs around the world connect with their tools. Today, his brand stands for precision, soul, and timeless artistry, bridging the gap between East and West, steel and spirit. Please welcome a craftsmanship of vision, the CEO of the Japanese Knife Company, Patel.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
Thank you for your time. Your journey began in England's retail world. What moment first pulled you towards knives? Was it curiosity, craft, or something deeper?
It was actually none of those things. What pulled me to the knives was I was in the fashion business. I sold my business. I'd gone to Japan on a stage. I was working in a small izakaya, and when I left from there, the chef gave me a knife. That was a light bulb moment. That knife changed how I felt about food, how I cut my food, how I enjoyed the preparation rather than becoming a chore. So that's what led me to the knives. And then I went back to Japan to learn about them.
When you were working in the izakaya, what were you like working as? A chef?
I was learning. I was doing a stage there. So I was doing everything. In Japan, they don't have the brigade system like we've got here. You haven't got like individual people doing individual tasks in each section. You generally have people who do everything. I was a dog's body. I would be equivalent to like a comic chef, if you like. That's how they treat you. But I was there to learn the working of a Japanese kitchen. I was there for about 4 months, 4.5 months, doing that.
So it's your passion that drove you?
The passion came afterwards, because it's only when you start to get to know something that you can develop a passion for it. But I met a gentleman called Kamiya-san, for whom I was doing hospitality work, and he introduced me to the blacksmith who eventually gave me my break to actually go and learn the art. Because in Japan, it's very difficult to try and get an apprenticeship for anything if you're a foreigner. They don't normally like to take foreigners as apprentices. Because Kamiya-san, who introduced me to the blacksmith, I got my apprenticeship with a blacksmith.
How did you meet Kaya-san?
Kamiya-san, he used to run a hospitality business. He used to run bars in Japan, and I used to send him European bar staff and European chefs to work in his restaurants and his bars.
Okay, so that's how you met him?
That's how I met him originally. Spending
years under a Japanese blacksmith, what was your most profound lesson that experience taught you?
That's a difficult question to answer. Discipline. It taught me discipline. When you work in a Japanese environment, there is a level of discipline, a level of pride, which we just don't get anywhere else in the world. So even if you're cutting something as mundane as cutting coal for the fire, you took pride in what you did so that you made every piece with exactly the same length and the same width. Every single process you do, you to do it to perfection, and you make sure that always, you never accept second best. You always have to make for the best, and you take pride in whatever you do.
Why were you in Japan?
To learn about, originally I thought I couldn't go back into the fashion business because there was a contractual reason I couldn't go back into it when I sold my big company. So I didn't have anything to do. So when I found the knife and I found this wonderful tool, it had nothing to do with my past life. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go back to Japan, few months, I'll learn about it, and then I'll start selling them in the UK. When I got back to Japan, it was something I realized that you can't do anything there in a few months. Everything takes years and years. So in the end, I ended up spending 10 years there, going on and off, going backwards and forwards from the UK.
10 years is a lot of...
It is a long time. Yeah. It is a long time. 7 years actually making, 2 years learning how to sharpen them, and 1 year learning how to use them. I worked in Skiji Fish Market learning how to use the knives.
Oh, so like, were you like a fish vendor?
No, I wasn't a fishmonger. I was working for a fishmonger. So I guess I was a fish, you could call it, I was a fishmonger. In the European way, I would be. In a Japanese way, no, I wasn't a fishmonger yet. It would take another 5 or 6 years of working for this guy before you became a fishmonger in your own right.
Many chefs say Japanese knives have a soul. How do you define that? And how does it differ from Western craftsmanship?
Okay, so it doesn't. It doesn't differ from Western craftsmanship. There are craftsmen in the West that are as good as the craftsmen in Japan. The difference is that art is dying in the West, whereas it's flourishing in Japan. So Japan is able to make handmade knives by artisan craftsmen at a production level which makes it economical enough for people to buy. The German or the English knives, where the craftsmen are making them themselves, are a little bit out of range and out of price for most European markets. So there isn't that much difference in craftsmanship. Craftsmanship is universal. It doesn't have to be Japanese or West. It's how good you are, how passionate you are about the thing that makes. I'm Indian, but I learned the art of making Japanese knives. So the craftsmanship transfers over to here.
So Japanese knives are like more popular?
They are more popular now than before. The difference between a Japanese knife and a Western knife is that a Western knife is tougher and it's capable of hard, heavy work, whereas Japanese knives are built for precision cutting. So the difference is that most chefs are not looking to butcher entire sides of beef or they start cutting bones and things like that. They want precision cutting so that it maintains the integrity of the food. So for example, if I cut an onion, if I take it to my eye after cutting it, I shouldn't get any tears. So it's maintaining the integrity of the food.
So it basically, means, so it just matters if you like what you're cutting.
It does. A chef is judged every single time he puts a dish on the table. It's the last dish that judges you. That dish represents everything that you believe in the food that you're presenting. Like the first thing is ingredients. You have to treat the ingredients with respect, with care, and then you can get better food at the end. It's about flavor.
Yeah. How does the Japanese philosophy balance precision, harmony, shape, your company's approach to design and service?
Well, the fundamental philosophy in Japan is always you strive for perfection. Right? You don't accept anything less than perfection. Now, perfection is something that you can never get to, because you never get to something which is absolutely perfect. You're always trying to strive towards perfection. Now, what you do in order to strive towards perfection is you go through the processes, you learn, you understand, you have a love for what you do. So, as far as the knives are concerned, I have that love for the knife because I have love for the precision of the cutting. I have love for the integrity that it presents on the food, and I try to transfer over to my staff, because at the end of the day, if you're running a company which is employing 50 or 60 people, every one of them has got to represent you. So yeah, passing that on, training.
You're just trying to get like the best you can.
Absolutely, and the best you can is training. You train, you educate, you learn. Even the customers that come in, my job is not to sell something. My job is to teach people or educate people, and then they can make an informed decision. So what the steel is, how long it's going to take to sharpen, how it was made. And you talk about the soul. Now, a soul is something which is very, very, very difficult to put into define. It's very hard to describe or define, how you explain a soul. The soul is something you pick up in your hands and you don't know why, but this just feels better than that. You can feel the soul of the person who made it, and you don't know why or how. It just, you know it when you get it in your hands.
Yeah. When you launched the Japanese knife company in 1997, how did you convince the chefs to see knives as more than tools, as art?
Well, I didn't. It was very difficult. When I started, I would have a stand, I would have the knives out, and the chefs would come along and look at it and say, Japanese knives? No, we buy German. 30 years on, people come along and look at a German stand and go, German knives? No, we buy Japanese. To convince people for that turn was a hard process. First, you had to convince a few chefs, and when they saw the advantage, they told the next one, who told the next one, who told the next one. It was a PR exercise, it was a marketing exercise. It was just literally putting something in somebody's hand and say, here, cut with this, and here, cut with that, right? And it was simple. Every time somebody cut with a Japanese knife, they loved it. So, you know, that's how we started the company, that's how we built the company up.
So it was basically like a domino effect, because like they kept on telling.
It's a total domino effect. One tells the other, tells the other, tells the other, till the whole thing explodes and it becomes like everybody's talking about the same thing. So yeah, it was a domino effect. It did take time though. The first 5 to 7 years was a real struggle.
How did you persevere during the first 5 or 6 years? Did it feel easier to give up at the time?
Yes. The answer is yes. It's very hard. You know, when things, you're knocking your head against a brick wall, you know, and it's many times you think, but why am I doing this? You know, I don't need to work. I sold my company, I had no money, don't need to work. Why am I doing this? But in my life, I've never given up on anything, right? If I know that it's right, and the Japanese philosophy also comes in at that point, you don't give up just because something is hard, right? If something is hard, you work harder to make it right. And I was lucky that we got some breaks, some very lucky breaks, and here we are, you know, it worked. So we got through that hard time.
What's like the most expensive knife you ever sold?
That's a question that there's two answers to that. First of all, knives are tools. So the most expensive tool that I've ever sold, or that I sell regularly, is probably around the sort of £500-600. But the most expensive knife that I've sold is because somebody's buying more than a tool, they're making a statement in their lives, was £104,000. Plus there were some additions on that after that. That was a knife for somebody who was not buying it as a tool, but was buying it for a royal collection, where they, you know, like for example, you see the king walking down in a parade, and he's got his saber, and he's got a £2 million diamond on top of his saber. The saber is no longer a tool or a weapon; it's a piece of art that's going in a collection. So the most expensive knife that we sold is over £100,000. But regularly as a tool, I think £500 to £700 is good.
And what made like the knife so expensive?
That particular knife was expensive because it had jewels in it. It had diamonds in the handle. It had a ruby on the bolster, on the hilt of the blade. It was decorated with jewels. So it was the jewels that made it expensive. Also, the blade itself was forged by a master in Japan, and it was a folded steel. There were 2 million layers of steel in the blade. So it was a very special knife.
And also, what is like your favorite knife in like your kitchen? Like what?
It changes. You see the knives here. These here are amongst my favorite knives at the moment. Because they're very thin, they're very sharp, they're very easy to resharpen, but they're quite delicate. But at the moment, this is my favorite blade.
And also, like, what's the most expensive, like, blade material? Like, what's the most expensive?
So the steel itself, at the moment, there's a steel called ZDP 189, which is a very, very high carbon powder steel. That's about the most expensive. That and SPG2 Strix, that's another kind of knife out of steel. Those are the most expensive materials at the moment. But just using those materials is meaningless unless you know how to treat them and how to make them usable and functional for the customer.
Yeah. How do you feel about the disposable culture?
Today it's convenience. People buy things. If they break, they throw them away. This to me is really bad. Will do everything that I can to fight the disposable culture. We are looking for sustainability. We are looking for things that last. There's no reason to make something, use it, it breaks, then throw it away and buy a new one. So what do we do with that one that's broken and thrown away? We put it in a landfill, we put it into, we burn it, but we create more problems for our world by doing that. It's better if you've got something that you use it. If it breaks, you repair it, you fix it, you use the same thing. So that I hate the disposable culture. I will do everything I can to fight it.
And how do you make knives? Don't you put it in an oven or something and forge it?
Yes, you do. You take a piece of steel, you put it into a heat up to the point where this piece of steel becomes malleable. You take it out, you beat it, or you drop it, or you do whatever you can to shape it. That's forging. So you shape it into the thin thing. You then reheat it. You then cool it down really quickly. When you heat something, all the molecules go further and further apart. When you cool something, they go far closer together. So you heat it, the molecules go far. You cool it, they go close together very fast. So you've now got a hard piece of steel, which is in the shape of the finished knife. You then grind it from both sides to make it into an edge, and then you put a handle on it, and there you got your knife.
That sounds complicated, but it's probably easy for you.
It's a process, like anything. Some people, when you look at it from the outside, when your father makes his legendary biryani, okay, it's very complicated. There's 20 ingredients and there's 15 processes and there's timing issues. But for him, it's second nature. He does it without thinking about it. So once you're inside it, it becomes second nature, so it's not complicated anymore. What's complicated is to make sure that it's perfect every single time.
And how many knives would you estimate that you've sold, that you sell every month?
Well, at the moment we sell something in the region of 150,000 to 160,000 blades a year to our normal retail customers, and we sell something in the region of 350 to 400,000 blades via our trade customers like B&Q, Tesco's, John Lewis, Sainsbury's, people like that.
And do you have shops in other countries?
I do. I have my own shops in Sweden and in France. I have a couple of shops in Stockholm. I have 3 shops now in Paris. And then we have what we call satellite shops. These are shops where they're owned by the people, but we have all our own branding and everything else inside it. They're not franchises, they're satellite shops. So we have a partnership with them. And we've got in the Middle East, we've got in South Africa, Australia, Singapore now.
So you have it basically all over the world?
As satellites, yes, but as our own physical shops with our own name on the outside of the door, which are actually owned by me in France, Sweden, and the UK. UK being London and Edinburgh.
What are your values in life?
Pursue perfection. Don't do something that you're not good at doing. If you're not good at doing it, leave it. Do something that you're better at.
So do something that you like and you're good at.
You do what you're good at and what you enjoy doing. And the one thing that is sure to take you through life is care. Care for what you do, but also the people you work with, the people who work for you. You know, it's a whole big round thing. It's about caring about what you do.
Tell me about the biggest setback in the last 10 years.
The biggest setback in the last 10 years. A robbery. A robbery in Paris. We had, over a bank holiday weekend, over £175,000 of stock stolen in one go, and we had difficulties in getting settlement from the insurance companies, so we lost a lot of money in one simple go, and that was a big setback.
Did you get like any of it back?
No. Well, we got some of it back, but not all.
And did you ever like catch the thief?
He's caught, but he was given a suspended sentence.
What does that mean?
It means that he was given a jail sentence, but he doesn't have to do it.
So that's a bit...
It is. It's hard to accept. It's hard to accept when somebody does something that could put in jeopardy the livelihoods of not just me, but maybe 8 or 10 families who work in that business. And the justice system, it lets them go.
Were you there at the time when you got robbed?
I wasn't there in the shop, no. I mean,
But like in Paris?
I wasn't in Paris, no. I was in London.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Pursue things in life that you enjoy and that you can monetize, because we have to live in the real world. But do something that you actually love doing. It's hard to wake up in the morning and do something if you don't enjoy going to do it. When I wake up in the morning, I want to come to work. When my staff wake up in the morning, they want to come to work because they're pursuing something that they enjoy. Then you will find success, whether it's money or it's contentment. It's all the same thing. At the end of the day, what you're living for is contentment. That's what brings you happiness, not just loads of money and unhappiness.
Yeah, that's probably like most of your answers, because it does actually like make sense. Like, do what you like.
Yeah, because you don't do things just for money. You don't. A lot of people chase money, right? But don't realize why they're chasing money. You're chasing money because that's going to buy you something that you hope is going to bring you happiness. What you should be doing is finding things that find you happiness without chasing. If that's what brings you happiness, chasing money, then that's fine. But for most people, contentment comes, happiness comes from finding something they're contented with. I look at people who I work with. He owns a super yacht, £500 million. I don't want that. I have no desire for that. I'm happy with what I have. I'm content with what I have, and I know my limitations.
Are most of your customers are some of your customers like millionaires? Or
Yes, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are the same as any business. I don't ask somebody, I don't judge somebody, I don't know. Of course there must be some of them must be millionaires, because they're buying £100,000 knives, they have to be millionaires, right? But I don't know to answer it. Yeah, of course they are, because in every life there are people who can have money.
The biggest inspiration in life, was there one particular person who kept you going even when you felt like giving up?
Yes, my father. He was the biggest inspiration in my life. He taught me, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And before you say anything to anybody, put yourself in their shoes. That was my biggest inspiration, my father.
That's some good advice. And can I see some of your knives?
Of course you can. We were talking about my favorite knife at the moment, because I test every knife that I sell. So I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of knives that I've tested over the years. And so you get a favorite one and they go in and out of favor. I said to you, this is currently my favorite knife. Sharp, precision, something I designed myself actually for my 25th anniversary of my company. Shall I show you what it can do?
Yeah, sure.
Slicing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 70 slices.
Whoa.
Okay.
They look so thin also.
They are. You wouldn't want to carry that thing because you wouldn't be able to taste it. And here.
Can that knife cut paper?
Can it cut paper? Yeah, of course, yeah. But we can take that, and we can take the skin, and we can split the skin.
Oh.
With this knife, I've just clipped myself.
Oh.
It's okay. With this knife, I can make you, yeah.
That's like one of the sharpest knives I've ever seen.
It is one of the sharpest knives I've used for a while. You cut something like an onion, which has very weak cells in it. If you press down, and if you have a sharp knife that's not sharp, all the vapors go into the air, and that's what causes people to cry. But also, those vapors contain the acid and the sugar. Now, if you lose the acid and the sugar, right, you don't get as much flavor. So this onion will now caramelize at a lower temperature, and you can test it. I'll just do that much so you can see. You can test it by actually putting it into your eye and see if it causes any tears. Look, you won't get anything from it. You won't get any smell from it. You won't get any vapors from it. You will get nothing from it. This will caramelize at a much lower temperature and taste much sweeter and more pungent in the back of your mouth.
So does it matter like about what knife you're using?
It doesn't matter so much as it's a combination. It's a combination of skill and the product. So yes, it does matter to a degree that you have a very thin, sharp knife. Yeah. But sharpness is really important.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom. What you built isn't just a company, it's a bridge between cultures, celebrations of patience, and a reminder true mastery still lives in human hands. May your blades be sharp and your spirit even sharper. It's been an honor having you here.
It's been an honor speaking to you. Wonderful thoughts. You put it into very, very succinctly. You know, it's a combination of the cultures and the philosophies. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.